All right, we are gonna go ahead and get started. Jeff, can you confirm that you can see my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Looks good.
Cool. Thank you everybody for joining. We are excited to have you on Zoom with us. On the call with you today is myself, Brian Lamb. We also have Jason Leung and Jeff Fox. We are all part of ServiceNow's ITSM Gen AI product team. I've been here for about 3 years and started working on the Gen AI initiative pretty much since its inception late last year. Jeff, do you want to say a couple words and then pass it off to Jason, and then we can move along?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Brian. Hello, everyone. Uh, my name's Jeff Fox. I've been with ServiceNow about 3 years, working on ITSM, and specifically I'm working on Now Assist since about February of this year. Excited for a great session, and I'll be here helping to man Q&A.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jeff. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Jason Leung. As Brian mentioned, we're part of the ITSM product management team focused on our Gen AI capabilities. Happy to share with you some of our latest features and answer any questions you might have about analysis for ITSM.
Cool, thanks guys. All right, so let's get started. Real quick, safe harbor statement. If we talk about anything coming in the future, please note that this is not a promise, but rather what we are currently planning, but could be subject to change. So just a quick few housekeeping items. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the Q&A or the chat, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. This presentation will be recorded and shared on the ServiceNow community site, and I believe Jeff just shared the link. So if you do have an interest in revisiting this later, please bookmark that link, and you can do so a few days after this event is over. After the event, when you leave Zoom, you will be prompted with a short survey. We would really appreciate if you spent a couple minutes just filling that out. It's really helpful for us to understand how we can better serve you going forward, what type of content you like, how we can improve the way we show that content off to you guys. So we're always looking for feedback and trying to give the best experience possible to you guys. Okay. So I'm going to go through a couple slides. I'll try and keep it real short because I do want to get into a demo of all the features that we have. After I do that, I'll also pass it off to Jason, who will do a little bit of a deeper dive into one of the new August features that we released, and he will show you how to configure it, turn it on, and actually start using it as well. So why did we create Now Assist for ITSM? We've spoken to a lot of customers over the years, and we're seeing now that more than ever, business owners, platform owners, they're being asked to increase productivity of their employees while also maintaining an exceptional user experience. Oh, I'm sorry, this was a little late. Really quick side note, we do have 2 customer adoption days coming up. One is in Santa Clara. We'll basically go through how to implement ITSM as well as Now Assist. The first one is in Santa Clara on November 18th. If you have an interest in attending this, please scan this QR code. We also have one more in New York City, which I'll flash up in a couple seconds. I want to give you guys some time to scan this QR code first. We also have one in New York City on December 9th. Same agenda. We're going to walk through how to implement ITSM as well as Now Assist for ITSM. So if you have an interest in either one of these, please scan this QR code to register. So let me jump back into the presentation. So increasing productivity, maintaining an exceptional user experience are becoming more mission critical for everyone across all the different organizations that we see. What we also know is that a lot of ITSM users are facing certain challenges, and these can be largely bucketed into these 3 that you see here. Limited self-service, users are unable to self-serve with the right knowledge or information that they need to resolve their own blockers. It's also hard for agents to get up to speed with incidents, requests, etc. It takes time, valuable time for them to understand what's happened so far and how can I best serve the requester. And lastly, documenting steps and solutions has been a big gap for many of our customers. Agents are very much incentivized to get through as many tickets as possible. And because of that, a lot of times documentation is lacking, which in turn affects self-service because we don't have the right information to create the knowledge articles to help users self-serve. So what Now Assist aims to do is create a virtuous loop to tackle all three of those problems. We look to streamline incident resolutions by providing incident summarizations, resolution notes generated by GenAI. We're really trying to make the agent's life easier so that we can also have the right documentation to automate the creation of self-service content. This way, we enable and boost employees' ability to self-serve. Not only are we creating the right content to help them, but we're also creating a larger supply of engaging answers to help them on their way. At the bottom, these are all the different outcomes that we're trying to hit with Now Assist for with Now Assist for ITSM. And now I want to talk a little bit about some of the newer features that we recently released. So with Xanadu, we released a few features, the first one being chat reply recommendation. This is a way for agents to leverage generative AI to draft a response to a requester or even another user within the organization. It really helps save agents time by not having to come up with a message from scratch, and they can instead ask GenAI to draft something for them. They can ask it to elaborate or shorten the response and save a little bit of time on their end. We also have an enhancement to the knowledge article generation feature. Now you can generate a knowledge article from a group of multiple similar incidents. This is very helpful when you see a lot of incidents of similar nature. You can create one knowledge article, one single knowledge article to tackle or resolve all of those issues and help users self-serve going forward. Another neat feature we have is chain summarization. So if any of you are familiar with incident summarization, this is very much along the same lines. We're looking to streamline the change process workflow by providing a summarization of what the change is for, what the objective is, the plan, any risks, and what incidents were caused by this change, or sorry, what incidents caused this change. The last one I'll talk about before going into demo is sidebar chat summarization. So if you are a current user of sidebar chat, we now have a really quick and easy way for you to bring that information that was in the sidebar chat back into the incident record itself. That way the record has you're basically enriching the record, which then allows us to generate a better resolution note with GenAI, which in turn allows us to generate a better knowledge article with GenAI. And as a result, we create more self-service from the end user perspective. So let me switch gears a little bit and start the demo. So give me 1 second. And I will start sharing my screen again. All right. So we've talked a lot about how things work. Now I want to show you how things work. So right now I'm logged into an instance as Storm employee. That's what SE stands for. And Storm has a question that he wants to self-solve. So let's try it out. How do I connect my iPhone to VPN? So right up here under answer generated by Now Assist, we are served a genius result. Basically, instead of the old search experience where you get a list of articles that might or might not be relevant to your search query, now instead we are combing through all the available knowledge sources and providing that answer to you right up front and center. If you have an interest in which knowledge article it comes from, you can definitely click the source button. But this is a quick and easy way where users can self-serve and get right to the answer that they're looking for instead of having to comb through various knowledge articles and look for that information themselves. So another way a user can do this is through the virtual agent. So how do I connect my iPhone to VPN? So this is our new Now Assist powered virtual agent. And right here, you can see the same genius result that we got over here in the Employee Center search results. So really quick and easy way for users to get the information they want. And we can also do more with the virtual agent. So now let's say Storm I need access to Miro for a team whiteboarding session. So what I'm going to show you right now is our new virtual agent conversational catalog ordering feature, which allows you to complete and submit a catalog request item all within the virtual agent. So in the past, the virtual agent might be able to find this Miro request catalog item. And once you click it, it would take you to the catalog site where you would submit that request. But now we can do everything within the virtual agent window itself. So yes, I am the one who's requesting this for, and I am in marketing. And one neat feature you can see here is slot filling. So in my initial message to the virtual agent, I stated that I need this for a whiteboarding session. And so the LLM is able to recognize that and automatically puts that information in the business justification field, which saves you a little bit of time. So from here, all the user needs to do is review the information. If everything is good, they can go ahead and click submit. If they need to make a change, let's say they put in the wrong division, they can always make a change here. Okay, so I want to show another virtual agent feature. So let me start a new conversation. And let me do this. So I'm having issues with adding Zoom meetings to my Outlook calendar events now. So the virtual agent is going to see if we have any knowledge articles that pertain to this question. And what I can see right now is no, I don't see anything useful. So let's click search for more results. All right, so it looks like nothing's available in the knowledge base. So let's chat with a live agent. And I'm actually going to go double box right now. So on the left, we're still with Storm. On the right, I am a level 1 agent called Able. So he sees Storm's request for a chat coming in. He's going to hit accept. And over here, you can see that once Able accepts the chat, we get served a little chat summarization. So because this example was not very long, the chat summarization might not be super useful. But if there is quite a lot of back and forth between the requester and the virtual agent, this is really where chat summarization feature comes in handy. As an agent, you don't need to scroll through a really long conversation history. You're basically served right up nicely what the issue is, what steps might have been taken, et cetera, really saving you some time. So I'm able, and let's try and help out Storm. Thanks, Storm. When did this issue start happening? And Storm's gonna say this morning. Apologies for the typos. Thanks for that info. Can you tell me if your laptop is up to date with the latest firmware and security patches? Yes, it updated this morning. Great. Let me create an incident and reroute this to a specialist to help you. Okay, great. So I'm going to go full screen with Able. I'm going to go ahead and create an incident. And right at the top, you can see this banner. Now Assist is going to help summarize this interaction and fill in some of the details on the incident record. So another handy feature. And we're going to review this, having issues, started this morning, laptop was updated. Great. So now Able is going to assign this to a different agent, Lakshmi. And we're going to hit save. And hit save and move along. All right, so now we're going to move to a different persona. We're going to move over to Lakshmi, right over here. And Lakshmi, oops, let me refresh this real quick. It's going to see that this incident was assigned to her. And one of the other GenAI features that we have is incident summarization. So as a new agent to this incident, I can click summarize, and we can have GenAI provide a really nice summary of what the issue is, any key actions taken, service level agreements that are impacted, affected CIs, et cetera, et cetera. This really helps Lakshmi get up to speed on what the issue is and actually reach out to Storm to figure out how to help him. So we're going to start a sidebar discussion with Storm. Hi, Storm. I'm here to help with your Zoom Outlook issue. All right, so going back to the double box. So over here on the left, we're Storm. Over here on the right, we're Lakshmi. And Storm now sees Lakshmi's chat with her. And so we're going to start a chat. Hi, Lakshmi. See you. Can you tell me what steps you tried to you taken to try and resolve? Try restarting Zoom, Outlook, and also my laptop, but the issue still persists. Okay. Hey, thanks for that info. Let me remote in and try updating the Zoom plugin / driver. Okay, so Lakshmi is going to remote in, try and update Zoom for Storm. And let's say we've done that. Can you please try adding a Zoom meeting to an event now? Awesome. Everything is working great again. Thanks for your help. Perfect. Thanks. I'll close this out for you. All right. So now that we've resolved the issue for Storm, Lakshmi can add a summarization of what she did to help Storm. She can do that within this chat window over here. And once that's ready, she can actually post this to the incident record. So let's go full screen. So this summarization of what she did to help resolve Storm's issue is now posted here. And that in turn allows us to generate a nice resolution note with GenAI. Updating the Zoom plugin resolved the issue. Perfect. We're going to hit solution provided and click resolve. Now, what next? Let's create a knowledge article so that in the future, if any other requesters or users face a similar incident and ask this question in the VA or in the employee center, they can actually self-serve. So let's try that right now. We're going to create this in the knowledge article base. We'll do the standard template. And we're going to hit create knowledge. So when you do this, you get hit with this modal. Do you want to use AI to draft this article? We're going to hit yes. And here it'll actually find a list of similar incidents that you can group together and create one knowledge article for, which is super handy. So as you can see, I've done this demo a lot, so a lot of them look very similar. Maybe not this one. So we'll continue with select tasks. And we now have a very nice Gen AI drafted knowledge article. So really helps save agents time, even helps save knowledge managers time so that they don't have to draft things from scratch. They can get Gen AI to do all the heavy lifting for them, and they can simply review what the Gen AI model spits out and make any edits as necessary. So the last feature that I want to demo for you guys is the change summarization feature. So let's go and take a look at changes. We'll minimize that. And let's see what is an interesting one. So, okay, so I actually see one that's related to the issue that we just helped Storm resolve. So let's take a look at that. And let's see if we can leverage the change summarization feature from Now Assist to help us get up to speed on what is going on. Perfect. So a really nice way for change managers or agents to click into a change request and see what the objective is, what the plan is, what the risks are, and kind of understand what is going on. So thank you guys very much. I'm going to take a pause now. And Jeff, do we have any questions we want to take live before moving on to Jason's segment?
Well, there were several questions that did come in, both in the chat and in Q&A. Let's see, there was a question around Sidebar and its integration with Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Is there something specific?
Yeah, it was just, I think it was Sidebar integrates with Teams.
Yeah, and just to mention, Sidebar in general is a fairly extensible framework, so you can extend it out to other third-party chat tools as well. Teams is the one that we currently support out of the box. We do have plans to extend that into other channels, such as Slack, etc. So there will be additional support coming for that. But the idea there is that we want to meet employees where they're at in where they're using chat day to day versus forcing them to come necessarily into the portal. So that's the intention, so that the agents can reach out to them in those channels or can talk to other subject matter experts in their respective channels without being within ServiceNow. There's also a few other questions. Let's just go through these. Can Now Assist and its features be domain separated? For example, if only one or a few of our clients want to leverage Now Assist, would it have to be sort of globally applied? Great question. Now Assist capabilities, for the most part, are domain separated. They support domain separation. There are a few edge cases where we have certain skills that have some limitations where if they're applied at a certain domain, the subdomains still have access, but generally speaking, Now Assist does support domain separation. All right, one other question, are all of these features exclusive to Xanadu? Not all of them are exclusive. Brian, I don't know if you want to cover specific ones, but we did start support for a lot of these capabilities in Vancouver. Obviously, incremental updates, etc., will have support that's further out that will require certain patch levels as well as specific family versions. But yeah, some of them, Brian, I don't know if you want to speak to which ones you might have covered that were Xanadu specific. I don't think any of them were Xanadu specific. But
I believe change.
Yep, change, as well as the multiple incidents used to generate the knowledge article.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are Xanadu only. If you're still in Washington, you will still be able to use GenAI to generate a knowledge article from an incident, but only from one specific incident. So once you get to Xanadu, you'll be able to generate a knowledge article for multiple incidents.
looks like we have one person with their hand raised. Vincent, okay, there you go. Vincent, you should be able to come off mute if you have a question, or you can feel free to type, whatever's easier. Okay.
All right. Jason, take it away.
All right. I will cover one of our newer capabilities with chat reply recommendations. I'm going to share my current window. So Brian went over a lot of the existing capabilities. Chat reply recommendations came as part of our August release. Let me just walk through some of the initial configuration. For folks that have used Now Assist, you'll be pretty familiar with the menu structure, but for anyone that is new to seeing these capabilities, you can go to the left nav, and if you type in Now Assist, you'll see all of the admin configurations. So in this particular case, I'm going to go into the features section. This is where you activate any of the number of capabilities within Now Assist. We've got different capabilities depending on which workflow. In this case, we're going to focus on the ITSM portfolio suite. You'll see here that there's different tiles based on grouping the specific capabilities to where they're assisting. So in this case, for chat reply, it's under the chat section. So as you can see, some of the capabilities that Brian showcased previously are covered on here. So we've got like chat summarization, we have sidebar discussion, chat reply recommendations. So these are all covering the chat section. So the one that we're going to cover here is going to be around the reply recommendations. I've already activated this skill, but if it's a net new skill that you've never activated before, you'll actually see the call to action tile here where it's not started, and then it'll give a brief description of it, and then you'll go in and activate the skill. This particular skill doesn't have a ton of configurations today. It's mostly just activating it and defining some specific triggers. So here we have a specific trigger where if the agent can manually trigger the skill to recommend a response, this is the baseline to enable chat reply recommendations. In subsequent releases in November and beyond, we will have additional triggers for different experiences. But for today, the current generally available version, this is what's available. There's a next section, which is where you want this to be displayed. today, this is specifically in product. There are some skills that have experiences that surface in our Now Assist panel that's here as available for agents. But in this particular capability, it is specific to being in the product. And if you open up the caret here, you can see that you can specify specific roles that have access to this capability. By default, we just tag the ITIL role, but you can customize which roles make sense to be added as part of this. And then lastly, just activating the skills. It summarizes how it work, what are the triggers, pretty straightforward. And this will now start appearing for your agents that you've defined that access at. So let's swap over. Let me try to see if I can do a split screen easily. And I will just show this in action. Give me 1 second. Let me do. Oh, test this out. I have a super wide monitor, so this is the best way I can do this. Let me just see. All right, Brian and Jeff, can you guys see that okay? That
Yeah, it looks good to me.
is it okay? I don't know if that's super wide, but all right. Let me okay. All right, so let me go ahead and first just impersonate a particular agent. So David Liu here. And I will go ahead and go to the service operations workspace. And I'm logged in here as an end user, Alyssa, and she'll interact with the virtual agent to get to a live agent. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go online here so that David can accept the call similar to what Brian was showing earlier. And then I will type in something like, my laptop is broken. And this will do some basic search with virtual agent, give me some options. Looking through them, I don't really see an option that I like. I'm going to see if there's some other stuff that can help me with. In this case, I just want to chat with a live agent. All right, I'll go ahead and accept this on David's side. And you'll see like your typical existing transcript that came over from the virtual agent. There will be the chat summarization that Brian showed a little earlier. That'll give me a breakdown. So if there's a pretty long string of chat that's happened between the virtual agent and the employee, you'll be able to see that summarized here in this bubble. Looks like my instance is a little slow this morning, probably already ready to take off for Halloween. But I can, while this is kind of loading, I can show you a little bit. So there's this component here that says write with Now Assist. And this will essentially be able to trigger responses to the user. And what it typically will do is it looks at the current stage of the conversation. So it identifies right now we're in a like a greeting or an initiation phase. And so what it'll take is what's the conversation flow that's happened thus far, and then generate an appropriate response to the user. So in this case, you'll see it says, "Good morning, Alyssa. Thanks for contacting support. I'm here to help you. Can you please tell me more about the issue you're experiencing with your laptop?" So it takes the context that Alyssa has typed in with laptop having some issues. Like she said, it's broken. You wanted to talk to a live agent, and it will synthesize a response for that. Now, there's a few things I just want to highlight. There is basically a resizable and movable modal here. So if it's a pretty long response, you can kind of see it. Also just depends on the real estate of the agent that is using it. But also you can see I can refine this. Like, let's say I don't like that response and I just want something a little bit more or a little bit shorter. I can basically refine that and change it to a shorter response. I see that's a little bit too short. Maybe I prefer the previous response. I can kind of go back and forth to determine which ones I want to use. And then the agent can also just type in or basically say, was this a helpful response? So I find this helpful. I'm going to insert it in and type that in. Now, as you notice, when I triggered this, I did have a blank text box. So for that, it'll take whatever was in the chat and determine the stage and generate a response. I can also, and I'll show you on the agent side, but let me just type in, yeah, it seems to be freezing. All right, so Melissa's given some context there. In this case, you first saw me generate the response just with an empty box. I can also type in something like, okay. I can also take content that I typed and also decide to elaborate on it and use that as the trigger point. We do have some capabilities in the future where we can highlight certain sections and be able to elaborate and generate a response. But you'll see it takes context, adds a lot more words here, but you can kind of get a sense for it can take blank input and look at the chat, or it can take input that you've put in and then generate a response. So it adds some details about like a program in place. I think that looks like a pretty reasonable response. And then I'll put that in. Melissa can say something like, that's great. And then for here, I can just say something like, I've gone ahead and submitted this request for you. And then I can generate a response again. And basically at the beginning, there are main stages is greeting, and then you have some troubleshooting context gathering that it will try to ask about more issues. So you saw that I've gotten some greeting message here, and then you see something around, can you please tell me more about the issue? So it tries to get a little bit more clarification from the end user. And then I can take responses that I've typed in. And in this case, obviously, this is a very quick example. You probably wouldn't jump right to replacing it, but I just wanted to kind of illustrate this in this quick demo that I've gone ahead and given a resolution, which is giving you a replacement. There's some responses back and forth. And then because now it knows that I've done the submission, it's giving an appropriate closing response. So I can just go ahead and insert that. And I will go ahead and end that chat. So this concludes the chat. You can kind of see where the reply recommendations can come up with useful responses for the agent. It's especially useful in things like troubleshooting. So it does take into account previous similar chats, similar interactions. So if you have chats that you've had in the past with different requesters, it can take into account those as part of generating a response. Also, if there are KBs with specific information that are relevant to the topic that's being talked about, they can also leverage those for response generation. So that concludes the demo for this. Any questions? Are there any questions in the chat, Brian, that
We are
didn't respond
good
to?
right now. We're just responding to one. Folks, if you do have questions, please drop them in the Q&A or the chat, and we can take them live. Let's
Uh,
see.
Brian, there was a question around the live agent availability being in sync with the in-call schedule roster.
Okay.
And would they stay in I said that it was, and then the customer asked if, or Pawan asked, they could still use the WFM tool to monitor the manager and agent's utilization. And not sure if you can speak to that one. That one's a little outside my scope.
Workforce management, right? Yeah, I believe you still have to use that because now it's just does not integrate with workforce management. So,
Mhm.
All right.
folks, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, Q&A, or also feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you and we can do it live.